This will be the last time you come on this boat.
Yep. They'll say you're bad luck.
Usually what happens is they don't come back from the trip.
Yeah, they're like,
Right.
that captain sucks.
Yeah. Hey, watch it now.
It's like, oh, you're right.
Watch it. I stress so much to get on the fish.
Right.
I do. Like I
Me
stress.
too.
And sometimes
Hey, I think we're live, guys.
we have been.
We are?
Oh, we are?
Yeah, I said fuck it.
Should we do the normal intro?
I just
Like
said,
I'm Chris Baker, Todd
well,
Backer.
if they don't know who the fuck you are by now, then
I know, right?
maybe they shouldn't be watching.
Right.
No, just
Right,
kidding.
right.
Just kidding. Who
Yeah.
are you, Chris Baker?
I'm Chris Baker.
And I'm Ty Backer.
And I'm the world's greatest roofer.
And
I'm
this is
actually the only
episode-
one in the room that needs an introduction because everybody else
Yes.
is well known.
Listen, dude,
This
you're
is,
the world's greatest fisherman.
That's not right.
The-
Today,
the
the world's
best-
greatest.
the best third grade Mary Poppins player in
Right.
the nation right here, man.
We already
Yeah,
have.
so apologize to all the audience here for the delays, man. Technical difficulties sometimes hold us up, but you know,
Yes.
we're not going to miss a week. We're not going to miss an episode. We're 145 strong here, and we're definitely not going to miss John Senac and TJ McCormack up in here, man. How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
How's it going, guys?
Going good.
It's going great. It's going great.
Thank you for joining us, John. Hopefully you didn't shoot your wad in that 45-minute technical difficulty episode that we did. So why don't you start from the beginning? What the hell is you and Chris talking about?
Shingles.
You know, he asked me a really good question, and for those people who have not heard this before, he said, "How'd you become the what'd you say the shingle
guy?
Shingle guy, yeah, shingle
Yeah.
guy."
The shingle encyclopedia is what I should call you. Man,
The
the shingle guy doesn't do it justice.
So it's such an interesting thing, and I can remember RoofCon last year standing in line to get my badge printed, and I had my hat on, and I could hear the people behind me saying, "That's the shingle guy." And I remember thinking to myself, "That's going to be the thing that sticks, right? Like that's going to be the piece that people are like, oh, it's the shingle guy, right?" But in 2016, I handled a neighborhood that had a lot of discontinued products, and I learned in that moment, like this is different. You handle these differently. We need way less damage. There's a lot more leverage. You get to talk about construction and materials rather than talking about damage and arguing with engineers. So I just dove in, and I was going to supply houses, asking for their old shingle boards, their samples. They were pulling boxes out covered in dust from 5-10 years ago. They'd never pull out. I was collecting every bit of data I could just so I could sell, just so I could scout, just so I could find those. And in that process, I was like, well, let me look at the old NRCA manuals and all these details and specifications. And before I knew it, we were sitting there talking at a conference, and it was like, what are we going to do with this Facebook group that was originally designed for people to ask what shingle this is and take all of that off all the other Facebook groups, right? And it was like, cool, well, we've got this. Let's pump it up. And then it was like, well, let's create a reporting service. There's only one on the market. Let's introduce a little bit of let's introduce just a little bit of disruption. It's actually like a thing I'd like to encourage people to do. When something stood still for too long, it's time to introduce a little disruption. Well, we introduced that disruption. We created a new reporting system. We created a ripple, and it ends up kind of challenging and neutralizing and changing the landscape of whatever existed beforehand, ideally in a positive manner. And in that, I became the shingle guy. And it's really funny when people ask me what I do on like an airplane, and they're sitting next to me for 30 minutes, and then they finally open up conversation. I have to explain to them, oh yeah, I'm a shingle guru. And they're like, oh, you're a doctor? I'm like, no, like roofing, the kind that, not the chicken pox disease. No, I'm not a chicken pox guy. I'm a roof guy. So that's completely different. So, but there's the short intro to me and how I became the shingle guy. And that's kind of what we were laughing about is, no 9-year-old sitting there thinking to himself, I want to be a shingle person. But a 9-year-old should be aspiring to do something that then turns into a dream that then starts creating the mindset of, what do I want to be? And you don't know it at 9 years old, but when you find it, you better be ready to grab a hold of it and take just ride that wave, because man, is it fun. I'm having a blast right now.
No doubt, man.
That's great.
John, what do you got coming up on the horizon in the near future? Where are you going to be?
Oh my gosh, everywhere. I got my class, brand new class. Thank you for asking. So I've taught the discontinued master class, and I have to tell you a really funny story that Chuck Toki told me one time. But I've taught that for a year now, and I was doing it for a year before that, only in private settings, and now I've done it as a group class, online class, Zoom class, and in November we're going to launch a subscription model to where people will be able to just do that all online and get all their employees through the discontinued master class. So look for that. But we're now launching the documentation class and how you really do your documentation, present all those details. Big push for Company Cam within that, because Company Cam is how I use all of my documentation and create reports. So that's the new class. It's hitting Nashville October 20th. It's hitting Columbus, Ohio, November 17th. It's hitting Minneapolis, Minnesota, December 8th, and possibly 9th. And then we're going to try and sneak in Oklahoma City or Tulsa before the end of the year, and then eventually make that a subscription too. So I'm super excited about that class. Like, that's the new thing on the horizon for me. And then I'm going to be at all the conferences. It's that time of year where we all get to hang out, see each other, meet new faces, have green people who are new to the industry walk up to you and say, hey, I read this article, I saw this video, and talk to you and ask you questions. And you just get to just share and embrace those people and experience the growth and the changes. I'm so excited for the conference season. There's just so much coming up that I'm full of joy. That's the only way I can describe it. Between classes and conferences, I'm super excited right now.
I think that you're also going to be at One Industry, One Model next week.
Yes, that's the very next thing I'm at. First opportunity to speak at One Industry, One Model.
Yeah.
All right, so for Dallas people, going to the Company Cam event Tuesday night at Top Golf. I'll be at the Company Cam event Tuesday night at Top Golf in Dallas. And if you need information on that, I can check and see if there's still space available for that. I'd love to connect with anybody who's interested in Company Cam, using Company Cam. And then I get to go and speak a brand new topic that I only offer in my private trainings when a contractor hires me to come in and work on their company with them. And I'm going to be doing a 45-minute presentation on process at that. So I'm bringing something unique that has not been part of a group class, that I've not brought to a group class before, or any of my classes as a group class, to the One Industry, One Model presentation. I very much appreciate the invite from all of you for me to come down and speak. And I'm so happy to go see everybody. And there's still room at that. So go to oneindustry1model.com, right? That's the website, TJ.
Yeah, One Industry, One Model.
Yeah, oneindustry1model.com, and it's super cheap to just do the 2 days. I encourage you to do both days. I'll be speaking on the first day, but it's only a $200 difference to do 2 days. So do both of them. Get as much information as you can. Take what you can away from it. And I tell you what, it's going to be fun. I'm super excited for that too.
Not just with you. There'll also be Chip Merlin is going to be there. Steve Badger, as many people know, the villain of the insurance carriers. A lot of people have gotten to interview him and be around him before. Not me. This will be my first time to see him live in person, and I'm glad that Jen and I were able to get him there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. So, John, at these classes, I hear you talk about doing different things, but what is it that you actually teach? What are you teaching people? Are you bringing like a stack of old shingles and like differentiating them?
So this is the funny part. Chuck Toki told me, he goes, yeah, some of my clients said they were going to your discontinued shingle class. And I thought to myself, that has to be worse than watching paint dry. And they came back and had really positive feedback about it. I was like, thanks, man. I don't know whether that is that a compliment. And he's like, no, they really enjoyed it. And I was like, on the surface, it does sound like that. So the class runs you through a chronological order of just like manufacturers and when they went through their major changes. But you get all that. That data is history. It's not changing. Like, you don't really need to spend a ton of time on that. I give you cheat sheets. I give a great cheat sheet on the current products. I give a great cheat sheet. Look, y'all, I got like them sitting at my desk, So you have these things in your truck to go and just analyze roof systems. But the main thing I talk about in that class, the introductory class, is compatibility, availability, repairability. There's a lot circling on the UPPA stuff, what contractors can and cannot talk about. And I'm a big believer that as a contractor, if you are on the contracting side of things, you are a building products placement specialist, and you should stick to your sandbox and really have some grit to that and be ready to talk about all the issues that surround compatibility of products. Is it still available? Is it temporarily unavailable? Is it permanently discontinued? And then be able to fully analyze repairability of products and present that back to a carrier. And it's not just carriers. Like, you could be dealing with a property management group, a realtor, just a homeowner. You need to be able to explain to them, because it's all the same. You want to be honest and ethical regardless. But that really is the guts. And what do you do with that information? How do you present that information? That's the discontinued masterclass. And when it's close enough for me to drive in shingles, because they don't like it when you fly 200, 300 pounds of shingles. It turns out I've tried it. They come in all messed up. When I can drive in, I do bring a bunch of dinosaur shingles for people to look at and be like, oh my God, what is this? So it's pretty fun, but that's the original class. And then again, the new class is all about documentation and how to write different reports in Company Cam or whatever software, but I'm going to be teaching it on Company Cam to be able to present your building product placement issues to the other parties and what the implications that exist there. So I'm very, very pumped to bring a new class to the market.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. That's really cool, man.
So, he's doing that. He's going to be the one industry, one model. Are you going to be talking about different types of shingles and stuff like that? And what are you going to be talking about there? Are you going to
process off
Okay.
beat? Yep, that one.
Okay.
And I think you were trying to deal with the message when I was saying that, so I get it. But process. I have one of the things I do is a lot of private consulting where I go and work with whole teams and work on their process. So I have a really good presentation that I bring to them, just kind of understanding where everybody falls in that line, analyzing where each of your persons are they doing it? What do we need to learn from each other? What do we need to change? What are the things we're going to stick to and actually hold them accountable to, and managing a process? Because you can't be results driven. You have to be process driven. Then you can really measure results based on that process. Mm-hmm. I've never done that in a group class setting. So I'm bringing that to the group class for the very first time. And I'm pretty pumped. I've been blessed to be around TJ a couple times in the past few months. He invited me down to Florida, and it was great to see what he created and put together and built there for a live event. And I'm super excited to go to the One Industry, One Model event and see it and its full presentation and be a part of it too. I'm pumped for that.
Yeah. It's it's awesome. Going to be, there's a lot of cool things going on. I mean, Jen and TJ and Tim Brown, I mean, that whole entire thing was pretty awesome. That may, I kind of got a feeling that might create something where other people might try to do like, little mini tours here and there, which I think is great. And we talk about it all the time, like how our roofing industry has changed immensely over, especially the past 5 years, right? Yeah. Like there's so many different outlets that you can go and be educated on and not pay as much dumb tax as somebody like me who's been in the industry as long as, I have. It's like you can go from like $1 to $5 million in 2 years because of all of the education and learning and the free advice that people are giving and the stuff that you can pay for. Like people will actually come to your place now and train your salespeople.
Yes.
Well, 7+ years ago, that wasn't happening.
No, there wasn't a lot of people out there out in the outreach, as we call it, actually doing what they're doing now. There'll probably be some people now that'll say, I was doing that, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But let's look at the evolution of just a few different aspects of it, right? Sure. 10 years ago, when I got in this, there was people pumping SEO, direct mailers, and, really a pretty limited scope of marketing. And you look at what's available on the market for TJ, you're teaching people how to really manage social media and shorts and content. That wasn't there 10 years ago. Like you could hire companies to do Facebook stuff for you. Sure. But that wasn't a big thing. And I look at just culturally how that's changed. So what if your thing is you are really good at letters or mailers, or you already have dope marketing to handle that, or some weird, somebody who's writing stuff or whatever it may be. Right. Sure. But you need help with the SEO. You can find that one thing. Maybe you're really weak at social media. You can find that one thing. You bring in TJ, he teaches you that thing. It's become so niche that if you are good at one thing, or you've hired people that are good at something, or they are excellent at that stuff, awesome. I just met with a company who has a sales manager that comes from a solid background that has a really good sales packet. The only thing they really did need was field work. How do I manage a process for the field work? So you don't have to like there's just so much diversity in it, and you can do online programs that weren't available 10 years ago. You have conferences that weren't available 10 years ago, and you could do in-person stuff where either you go to them or they come to you that wasn't available 10 years ago. The evolution of what's happened in the education space for roofing has really raised the overall standard, for lack of a better word, of what's going on in the roofing industry. It's like doctors. Doctors don't manage businesses well. Somebody to do that, right? They didn't go to school to manage or own a company, right? And they may own it, but they probably need some support or other. virtual assistants, like there's just so many things in every industry, and the roofing industry is really seeing a diverse group of different training specialist niche items to bring to hey, where am I weak? Let me bring in my weakness and let this person teach me, or let me outsource my weakness to this person to take over that thing for me. So much more than what I saw 10 years ago when I entered this industry. It just blows my mind.
Our industry's in a really great place right now.
Yeah, the manufacturers are getting involved in this, just as you know, John, and most people that are watching this know that the industries are getting involved with education. And me speaking to certain ones recently, it's like they hand the roofing company a menu, and they're like, you have all of these people here on this menu that are able to come and teach you something. Choose what you need, and they'll be there. And that's also pretty cool to see. And then all of the different conferences, I might learn from you, John, but Ty might not learn from you. So there's a whole bunch of options versus where back in the old days, maybe it was just one person, and maybe I wasn't learning a lot from that person. Now I have an option to choose who's teaching me.
Absolutely. I mean, you got so many different outlets now, like you were talking about. There's much more conferences now with so much visibility and accessibility of, like we went to Win the Storm several years ago, Jan and I. And I feel like that really had opened our eyes. And it's like every conference, you take what you need and you leave the rest, right? It doesn't matter who's hosting it, who's doing it. They're all good. And as long as you're going with an open mind and in search of knowledge, right? I mean, I think that was probably the biggest thing for me was when I went searching for the knowledge to try to get better, not just as a business person, but as an individual. Personally, I wanted to get better too, because I know I had let my company manage me.
Yep.
Right. And then you start hearing people talking about, delegating and, because let's face it, I grew up in the small mom and pop type of business atmosphere, right? My family's owned a bar and a restaurant forever. My mom and dad did all of the work. Right. Like they did all of the work. And I think a lot of companies, mom and pop companies have done that. And that's kind of like the morals that I was built on, like, right. Like you did it. You get out of the way. No one can do it any better than me. And that almost killed me, right? Like between stress, high blood pressure, ulcers. I mean, you name it. I was taking a medication for it at one point in time, right? I was up to 209 pounds. I was eating, I stopped drinking. So I turned to food, right. As my vice. And, like I said, Jan and I went to Win the Storm, and it's like my ears just opened up, right? Like there's other people, it's not just me struggling with these same things, right?
So I'm kind of curious to hear everybody's opinion of if you were, any phase in the roofing industry, first year, 20 years in, what's the advice that you would give somebody going to a conference? Maybe it's their first time at that particular conference. Maybe it's their first conference. What advice would you give them walking into that conference? Like, I want to hear everybody's. Chris, go ahead, because I feel like you've been quiet. So let's pick on you first, because I have an answer to this that someone opened my eyes to, and I really like, but I'd love to hear everybody's thought.
I think my best advice, and unfortunately, I've only ever been to one major conference, I would say, and that's RoofCon. And when I went down there, it didn't really pertain to stuff that, or at least so I thought, it wouldn't have pertained to anything that I did for TC Backer, because I handled the new construction division at that point in time. So like it was really more, I'm thinking in my head, more geared towards retail and insurance game and all that stuff. But I was honestly blessed and surprised on how much I got out of personal development. So what I would say is my biggest advice is to not listen to the noise from anyone else, okay? And go down there with an open mind, and whatever conference you're going to go to, take what applies to you in your market, because let's face it, not everything applies to everyone's market. I can listen to guys talk about door-to-door sales all the time, but unfortunately up where we're at, man, we don't really have much door-to-door stuff. I mean, people aren't waiting for us to come knock on their door to sell a roof to them 2 years after they got it, like they are in Texas. So my best advice is just go in there with an open mind and actually implement the things that you learn there, because I forget who said it on the stage at RoofCon. One of the speakers was like, look, I don't mind sharing all my secrets with you guys because I know 95% of you aren't going to do it. And even if you are going to do it, you're not going to outwork me. So I will share my secrets with you. So just go with an open mind and take what applies to you and leave the rest behind, man.
Nice.
Exactly. Good
Ty,
stuff, Chris.
TJ, what are your thoughts? What advice would you give somebody going in?
So I'm typically pretty vocal about this, but I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna keep it light tonight. Look, you guys have an opportunity to choose which conference works best for you, right? And there are a lot of conferences out there that offer all the conferences offer some sort of education to bring to other people. The number one reason that you should go to conferences is for the networking. The second thing is that you pretty much have a list of what educational classes are going to be available, and you should have those pre-picked as to which ones you would like to attend, and then have some questions ready for those people, and then go meet all of the people that are there as sponsors or exhibitors. I learn more from the exhibitors personally than I do typically from the people on stage. And that's nothing against the people on stage. It's just that I'm more interested in certain products than I am in certain development. But number one, let's talk about it like this. Everybody can go to the conference and have fun and be responsible. There has been some times in the past where some of the conferences have gotten out of control. And you can choose to be a part of that madness, or you can choose to come and use that $1,000 or whatever you're spending on that event to learn something or to gain something from it.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good answer. I guess it's my turn. So I have been blessed enough to be able to kind of do a little bit of a conference tour, and all of them are a little bit different. Like we went to IRE, RoofCon, a couple other ones, Jenna and I, and I liked how Chris said, keep an open mind, right? And you talked about networking.
Yeah.
But each conference is a little bit different, right? Like IRE, you actually get to sign up, like do a little bit of research, figure out which conference you want to go to. Okay. Like IRE has different, like, little breakout sessions that you can sign up for even before you go. Like when you get the app on your phone, like you get an app from IRE and you can actually pick out like the time frames, from 7 a.m. to 4 o'clock. Like there's so many different breakout sessions during IRE the entire time. And I've gotten a lot out of it. And usually you can find something at any conference that you go to that you might be struggling with. And be open. I would say that's probably the biggest thing. When you go to a conference, keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Like pull the cotton out of your ears, put it in your mouth for a minute, right? Like just put it down, put your ego down, put everything aside and keep your ears open, right? Was probably the biggest thing. And that's what I do. I mean, I personally prefer to not participate in conferences because selfishly, I like to get stuff out of them. And I like how Hunter has things set up this year where he's got the expo floor open for so long. And then like after, like, I don't remember the time frame, but I believe this is how it's going to be set up. Like, and I'm just going to throw some hours out there. Like, so from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., the expo floor is open. And then everything after 2 o'clock is like main stage stuff. So then us vendors that are participating on the expo floor can actually appreciate and enjoy some of our speakers. Right now I'm real big on leadership, right? That's why I want to go to RoofCon. I want to listen to John Maxwell. I've read several of his books, and so I guess I don't even know if I answered your question.
No,
John.
that you are answering the question, because the first time I walked into a conference, I didn't know, and I can remember standing there. And I was blessed to have a guy who had been in manufacturing for a while. And this is, you got to remember, this is back when conferencing really wasn't that big in the roofing space in particular. But he said, get away from the people and go network. So to TJ's point, I see sometimes at conferences, people show up and you see the same, the three people with the same polo on, the same work polo, and they stand around each other. You got to get outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a vacation,
hands.
it's a conference.
Yeah.
And you should be there to either be motivated, educated, or network. And if you can get all of those things out of a conference, you have accomplished a lot. Like you're getting some ROI on that because you leave motivated, you leave educated, and you leave with a network. You continue to use that network to constantly be in touch with them and learn from them, learn their processes. Maybe they've got something. You take the educated pieces and you say, I'm going to implement these things in a week, 2 weeks, right? You go have a recap with your company, whoever it is, and say, here's where I was educated. We want to implement these things 1, 2, 3 in this order. And you leave motivated, right? If you can walk away from a conference motivated, educated, and a new person in your network or multiple new people in there, you crushed it from a conference standpoint. So like you said, go to the things, target them in advance, go to the things that you want to go through from an education standpoint, the breakout session you want to see, go to the motivation you want to see. Maybe it's John Maxwell, right? Maybe that's the person you're dying to hear from the leadership and a motivation standpoint. And make sure you introduce yourself to multiple people, walk the showroom floor, connect with people, find out what states they're from, because you will get to share things. Every class I teach, I always hear a follow-up from somebody. It's like, I'm so glad I went to your class. The person I sat next to, I talk to every week now. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's what it should be like. You now have a peer in the industry that's in another area, another city. Maybe they're 100 miles away. Maybe they're 5 minutes, maybe they're a state away, but you now developed a peer. And I'm not where I'm at now because I put my head down and stuck next to the same polo shirt that came with me for my entire first conference. I'm where I'm at now because I shook hands, I said hi, I got out of my comfort zone, got away from the people I knew, focused in on where I wanted to learn. And great, I learned that in the first conference at the advice of a guy from the manufacturer side who told me to do just that thing. And now I'm a big believer, when you go into conferences, take that approach. There's my advice. And it's kind of an accumulation of what everybody already said.
Mhm.
You know, whenever a lot of times, whenever I get on the phone with somebody, the very first thing they said is, you know, I met you at this conference or I met you at this show. And that's how they lead into the conversation. I'll be like, oh, yeah, what show was that? And, oh, yeah, of course, I know who you are. And then, you know, or the business card stack that you get, right? I go through business cards and I'll text people my number. And then one day they'll be like, hey, you remember that show I met you at? And that's exactly right. I've been successful at recruiting. Not saying I go to these shows to recruit people, but people become friendly with me and then want to come work together with me later.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Networking is huge, man, and stepping out of your comfort zone. And I think that was probably one of the biggest lessons that I learned because believe it or not, I am introverted. Like I, social events and stuff like that, or even speaking on this. And to be honest with you, this was me pushing myself out of my comfort zone to do a podcast and going to a show. And what's pretty cool from doing Behind the Tool Belt, when we go to shows, people recognize us.
Right.
So that made it a little easier for us to network. Yeah. Right. We go there and it's like, I'm talking to somebody. They're like, oh yeah, I know who you are. Right. And that ripple effect because of, the information that John and you guys talk about that come on the show, again, going back to our earlier conversation on how things are just so much different now and the networking, like people watch our show, they watch you on our show and John and the stuff that he does and all of the things that you do. People feel like they know you. Yeah. There's a personal connection there, whether you know it or not. So then when they see people like you guys at these events, they already feel like they know you. Yeah. Right. And you're approachable. Right. Yeah. They come up to you, they network with you. So it's gotten, at least for me, it's gotten a lot easier to network because people want to come and network with me. Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? And it's, I don't know, it's just cool.
You know what? I was having this conversation yesterday and John, you've been big into this here recently. Well, not recently, but over the past year, you've been live, once a day or so, maybe once every other day.
About every other day, yeah.
Yeah, about every other day. And then also Jen's starting to go live more. A lot of us are starting to go live because we're starting to see exactly the reach that you can have by utilizing the broadcast that all of these social media sites are allowing you to do. Mm-hmm. And we're able to reach more people authentically and organically versus having to pay to see those people or those people to see us. John, how is that helping in your business?
Significantly. So 3 years ago, I had probably 300 Facebook friends and I did not post anything. I was never on there. I wasn't big on social media. And it was first I used social media to be part of the roofing Facebook groups. And then I realized the personalities and the influencers that were arriving on social media. And then I can remember a conference. I was at a conference and I was on the $1 Million Producer panel. And afterwards I went and said hi to Sam, who had moderated that panel. And I remember feeling like I was meeting a rock star at that point in time, right?
Sam Struthers?
No, Sam Taggart.
Oh, Sam Taggart.
Right?
Sam Taggart, yeah.
So I remember thinking, I'm meeting a rock star here, like this, and he was
meeting a rock star. Sam's a great dude.
Well, but that's just it. Like what looked like maybe this was somebody out of reach or
right.
Very, very famous in that space, like shook my hand. He was like, I need to get your number, man. You and I should jam sometime. And that's just how Sam talks, and I'm like, man, I'm old. I don't know. I think he means chat sometimes, but maybe he means really a guitar, which I happen to play. So great. And a year later I'm speaking at his stuff and I just think, and I'm watching his stuff, and I remember the next year he gave me crap because he's like, dude, you don't have Instagram yet? And I was like, no. And he was like barking in my ear, and boom, we launched Instagram. We upped the Facebook. We made John the Roof Pro Facebook page rather than just my personal page. Then the whole NTS thing came around. And once NTS came around, I can remember getting off of a live where we had 29 people on the live at one point. And someone called me and he goes, do you realize what you have is a good thing going on? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I do live events and I get anywhere from 7, 15, maybe 20. And you had 29 people on there for a sustained period of time of over an hour. And I was like, is that good? I remember I was like, is that good? And he was like, yeah. And if he had not called me, how long would it have taken me to learn that lesson? I don't know. I sure would have learned it from you at some point when I met you, because you are a big proponent of that. But I tell you what, I do it and I go live in that group. I was at the end of the day on Monday, worn out, tired. And I thought, you know what? I've been live in 3 days. And I was standing on this roof at the end of after tarping something and doing a core cut to show the decking on this thing. I just did a live, and sure, it was only like 5 minutes, but it was still a live, and it got a lot of feedback, got a lot of engagement, and it's been rewatched. I'm still getting alerts right now that, oh, so-and-so commented on this. It's Wednesday night. We're 48 hours later, and that thing's still getting hits and pings on it. And it's been so crucial. So for those of you who haven't done it yet, I'm going to give you this advice, and it's stolen advice that you can find this from. You can find this from a couple of gurus on social media. Do yourself a favor.
Want to be a guru.
No, this is like kind of like simple technical advice, right? Like take your phone and just record yourself doing something, like whatever it is. If you think that, the first live I want to talk about gutter guards, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Take your phone, record it. And then the first thing you do after you record it, just practice it once to understand the camera angles, the lighting, the sound quality. And then the first thing you do is play the video back, put your phone down and listen to yourself. Okay. Yep. See what you sounded like. Then play the video back on silent and see what you looked like. Did you use gestures? Were your hands all over the place? Was it distracting? Was your camera angle good? And then play it back, watch it and listen to it. Do that once or twice, and I tell you right now, you'll be golden going live. If you just do that a couple of times recorded, you'll be fine going live, because it's the thing that's you're talking from here. You're talking from your heart. You're talking from your passion. You're talking about stuff that you're comfortable with. So no one's going to get like, and TJ, you said this once, you'll always have somebody that has a snide comment or haters. That's going to happen. That is a small part of the market. And Ed Milet has a really good speech about this. In fact, most of the big sales gurus do. Half the people love you, half the people hate you, right? I mean, you're not going to get everybody to like you. It's your message. Own it, right? It's your message. Just own it. But get it out there for people, because it is what is breeding audience and knowledge and information and connection and network. And you do not get there. I was standing in Kroger, the grocery store, for those of you who don't have Kroger in your area. The grocery store in my local area, there's 3 of them in my town. I was standing in Kroger, and the lady goes, "Oh, you're the Facebook guy for Equity Builders Roofing." And I was like, she clearly sees the Equity Builder stuff that we shoot. Right. That's it. Couldn't remember my name, but she knew that I showed up. And you were talking about brand recognition. She knew the company. That happened because we were willing to shoot stuff, short information, consumer-based information, lives, all through that company. And it benefited. That person knew me in a freaking grocery store. right?
I'm starting to get recognition on a lot of places.
I
And
saw that,
grocery
dude.
stores
Congrats. Like,
are are one of those places. But I was with David Summerly, and we were checking in at the Hyatt place in Daytona Beach the other day. And I'm not sure if the person's watching right now, but the front desk clerk recognized me as watching one of my videos just an hour prior to me getting there. And it was because I was in the area of Daytona that I was showing up on other people's feeds.
Mhm.
And it's a different feeling to be recognized, but the personal branding is working for us, the people that are on the live broadcast or putting ourselves out there.
Mhm.
When I started going live almost 2 years, it's almost been 2 years, I can't believe it, on TikTok, I didn't know what to go into, what to say or what to do. And I would get on live and I would quickly log off because I thought that was just weird. I would get this sweating sensation under my arms, my face, I could feel it burning, like I was embarrassed to be on live because I didn't know what to talk about. And then one day I was just like, you know what? I'm going to stay on live for 20 minutes. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes. And I stayed on live for 20 minutes and I started doing that daily. And here recently, I've been teaching people that if there is a tool on social media, such as you have to post pictures, you have to post videos, you have to post reels, you have to go live. If you don't do one of the steps that the social media platform gives you, then you're leaving something out, and then that social media platform is probably not going to treat you as well as somebody like John or myself or you, Ty.
Mhm.
For
yeah,
sure.
and to add to that, when you do go live, to give yourself preparation for that. I remember feeling the same way you did. You're watching the numbers on the live, you see 0, 1,
Yep.
3, 5, and you're like, man, this just isn't getting any momentum. Okay.
Mhm.
When you're early in the live game, just pretend like you're recording something. Don't even think about it like live till you get a reaction.
Yep.
So it's going to live there forever. So start your lives when you're green at it. Like, hey, for anybody coming back to watch this, I'm going to be really highlighting gutter guards on this one, and the gutter guard system that we use often, and why I really like this gutter guard system. Don't need to introduce yourself, right? You don't need to go crazy on that. Like, you don't need to feel overly scripted, but just treat it like you're recording something. And then if you look up later and you see 10, then 15, then 20, right? And you realize you've been on the live
Or
for
a
3
million.
minutes, 1 million. Yeah, dude, props to you for that. But anyway, that's how you get there. You don't get there by cutting out short, by leaving early, by being intimidated by this. Just pretend like you're recording an ad, information, showcasing something, complimenting something, going through that. And one thing cool about TJ's TikTok, if you go scroll through TJ's TikTok, world's greatest roofer, if you were an outsider and you saw that TikTok, you'd think, it's going to be a whole bunch of roofing stuff. No. Your TikTok, your audience responds, tells you the things they like, and you feed off of that. You respond to that. You continue to produce those things. One of your best videos is a grass seed video, right?
Yep.
So world's greatest roofer, one of his best videos is a grass seed video, not a this particular product or anything like that, right? So it's not all about roofing. You have to understand that your audience will respond to things, and you may be like, why? How'd that work? Why in the world did that work? I don't understand that. That's okay. But what you do need to listen to your audience in that moment. There's days I want to shoot something about a shingle and it's funny. There's days I want to shoot something with my kids and it's funny.
Yep.
There's days where I just feel super inspired because I just read something, remembered something, and I just put it out there. Whether it's a TikTok or a live, I put it out there because you know what? It meant something to me in that moment. There's a good chance somebody else is going to get something from it. And if 5 people, 10 people, 100 people, 1 million people react to it, great. That's your audience telling you, do more of this, do this a second time, give us more information about this, right? We really like this thing. So just pretend like you're recording for the first couple lives.
Yeah. Hey, my saying here not recently, about the past 2 months, is something I've been saying is be an influencer, not an infomercial. Because people want to see you at your best, or talking to them like normal people, not trying to always sell them something, and leaning into some of their needs. Like people online have needs as well.
Can I pick on you? I want to compliment you and pick on you if that's okay, because I feel like we know each other at that level. You made a really good post. You only need an audience of 1 to influence somebody. that
Yeah.
one person may feel motivated, inspired, influenced, whatever it may be. And remember that when you're going live.
Yeah.
I'd like to add a layer to that. When I really dove in on the Name That Shingle group and started doing information in lives, I didn't do it thinking, you know what, I'm gonna influence these people.
Right. No,
I did it because it came from here, just like yours do. Like you see something raw in the moment, it comes from here. So you almost take an act of servantship, right? Like you're taking a servant mindset to those things. And it's amazing how influential that can be because someone needs that information. Someone enjoys that content. And it could be a lot of people. It could be 1 million people, right? But if you really want to do it, recognize that you only need an audience of one to influence. And if you have a servant mindset rather than an infomercial, right? Instead of me trying to sell me, what's something helpful I could do? What's something I can share? What's something I can give? Good friend of mine who's in marketing told me this one time. I was like, man, I feel like I should just keep putting stuff on there. And he literally paused me and he goes, just put all your content on your Facebook page. And I was like, what? He goes, just put it all out there. Just shoot everything on there. The amount of time it will take for somebody to go work through it and watch all of it, memorize all of it, save all of it, write all of it down. It's kind of like what Chris was saying about the guy who said at the conference, like, yeah, I'll stand up here and share all my secrets because you're not going to go back and implement all of it. They're not going to find all of it. But if you take a servant mindset and you're willing to help, you're willing to share, you're willing to provide, that becomes influential, just almost organically. And that is the best way to become an influencer, is organically. Only need an audience of one. Stop selling, start providing something of value.
Everybody has to start at zero. But when you go to put yourself online, there are so many people out there that have never tried to put themselves online, and they don't know what to talk about, like what we've been saying. But just talk to the person, talk to them what you do, tell them what you do, ask them questions about themselves or what they do, or maybe you can learn something from others too. Just because you're the one live doesn't mean that you can't learn something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ty, we say it all the time, man. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And if you're doing it for the right reasons, John, like you said, man, if you're doing it for the right reasons, if you can help somebody, why not? There shouldn't, obviously people are gaining something out of it, but if that's the only motivating factor behind it, then I feel like you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
It also helps you in the sales process too. When I knock on doors, sometimes I'm still a little embarrassed inside, but now when I knock on the door, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? World's greatest roofer here." So, but it gives you a little bit of more self-confidence in yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you got to be consistent with it too. You can't do it. I mean, I'm guilty of it, right? But we are consistent on a weekly basis, 1 day a week, and I know Chris was with us. We did Fearless 44. I don't know, last year, I guess, sometime, right? And so you got to do a 2-minute live every single day, right? And with that consistency, you start feeling really comfortable, and I think people start to really see who you are, because now you're like, something happens to a lot of people, like when that camera comes on, like they're not that same person, right? That you would run into at the grocery store or something, right? But by doing it consistently like that, you start to feel more comfortable, and they start to see the real TJ. They start to see the real John or Brittany or Chris Baker or Vic, and you kind of get more comfortable with it. And like, you're like, you start having like a conversation with yourself. And then the next, people start to throw comments in there. Like, I can really relate to that. Or thank you for talking about this today, because I've experienced that as well too. And I think, I think sometimes we don't share enough of our, everyone always shares the victories and the pictures of the big checks, but I don't think enough people share like the real life experiences. Like, I failed fucking miserably today, and I feel like this is what happened, last night, whatever, you know what I mean? I think because people can relate to that. And I know I've shared a couple times where, I didn't perform very well today. I wasn't a very good leader. I wasn't a very good father today, or whatever, I'm missing a lot of time from home because I'm putting all the hours in, whatever it is. But I know with the Fearless 44, like, we were all digging down like really deep, in like soul searching on that 2-minute live. And so many people reached out to us, like, dude, like they were like, when are you guys coming on tonight? Like literally, I was getting
Yeah.
text messages from people. You know what I mean? Which is a reminder that I need to either do another Fearless 44 because I have been slacking on a couple of things in my life in a couple of different areas, but more so than anything is to get that consistency back and you know, it's not even about influencing people, it's about inspiring people.
Sure.
Right? You know what I mean? We can
Yeah.
be the infomercial, we can be the influencer. No, fuck that. Let's inspire people, right? Because let's face it, the past 3 years has been nuts.
Yep.
Right. And so a lot of us
Mhm.
turned to this, right? We turned to social
Right.
media. More podcasts had popped off in the past 3 years than anything. Why? Because it was safe and people were able to like express themselves. Like back in the day when we were kids, people were dyeing their fucking hair and putting those big ear loop things in there, like to like forms of like expression. Well, now we have social media.
Tattoos.
Right. Like right. But now we have this social media platform that now we can actually express ourselves
Right.
through.
Like Vic says, who's the real you?
Right.
I want to touch on something that you said here, man, because I think it's really important. You said about, you know, when we would do these Fearless 44 challenges, you would share your defeats as well, right? And I think that that's really important, and I want to touch on it because I feel like we have a problem with the mass stream of people with social media. Okay, social media is usually only used to either share some kind of drama or, you know, the perfect picture of how the situation looks on social media, right? So I think if people can become more comfortable being vulnerable and putting themselves out there and sharing their defeats or sharing things that they struggle with, you know, maybe it wouldn't be so superficial because everyone always you know, all you ever see is the good, and you have you know, the mainstream people want to believe that, you know, that maybe they're not good enough because, oh, all I ever see from so and so, you know, they have a perfect relationship, they have a great job, they don't ever fail, they never have any kind of bumps in the road, you know what I mean? So maybe try sharing more of those things, you know, and it doesn't have to just be on a Fearless 44, but you know, maybe hop on a live and be like, you know what, I wasn't perfect today. You know, Ty, I know you do a great job at pointing that out sometimes. It's like, look, man, I fucked up today.
When I was a sales manager, I brought 2 topics to every meeting, and my teams were expected to come to the meetings prepared to answer 2 questions. And the 2 questions we asked were, what's a success or a victory that you can share? And what's a failure or challenge that you had to face in this past week? Why would I bring those 2 questions? The core questions. If we accomplished nothing else other than a quick recap and those 2 questions, it was a successful sales meeting. Because in a room with 5, 10, 20 people talking about those things, everybody aired out their failures, their shortcomings, their challenges, and almost everybody else in the room had experienced it before or knew what to say to it or could empathize with it, could then motivate that person, could respond to those things. We all got to learn from everybody's shortcomings. We all got to realize that, hey, even the $1 million producers fail, have shortcomings, have issues, and then we all got to turn around and celebrate every single game. I did a video yesterday, celebrate the small gains, right? That's great, but you have to recognize that it's okay to put some of these flaws out there, right? There's a fine line between wearing everything on your sleeve, sure, but I love that question in sales meetings because I got raw answers from people. They showed up and they said, here's what I didn't do good this week. Here's where I needed help. Here's where I struggled. And you know what? I didn't have to manage every problem because the room managed those problems. Everybody else rose as a team and came to the equation and was like, man, let me help you out there. I dealt with that last week. I've met that person before. I faced that struggle. Let me take you to another neighborhood. Amazing what was generated by asking what was wrong. So don't hesitate to share what's going wrong right now, right? Here's what's going wrong, and I see it, and I know it, and I'm curious what you guys would do with this situation. If you've experienced this before, that's a fun live to have, and it's not one that everybody's comfortable. I encourage you to get comfortable with your heart topic first before you get into that one, but be ready to get into that one because it's really powerful. My 2 largest feedback things. I have a live sitting on the group. It's me 6 hours into a day, sweating. I mean, I'm like dying in North Carolina for being on roofs for 6 hours straight. and I'm doing a repair test and showing a repair test, which is one of the things that I'm known for, right? It's as raw and organic as it gets. It was one where I wasn't holding the phone. Somebody could shoot it. They got to capture exactly what I was like in that moment. And it has more watches, views, shares, tags than any other live I've ever done. My largest TikTok, my second largest TikTok is me on a roof, and I the chimney cap was loose. And I can remember I looked at my marketing guy and I grabbed the chimney cap. I was like, well, hope I don't blow away. Just like real quick like that. And he was like, whoa, you got to do that again. And he shot that thing and put it on TikTok. And it's the second most viewed TikTok that I have. Yep. You know what? People are like, oh shit, is my chimney cap going to blow off? I haven't had that checked. Right. But it was funny. It was engaging. And it was, I mean, we're talking, I think the TikTok was 8 seconds. 8 seconds. You want to talk short form content? Let me pull it up here.
I'm the best 7 seconds in the world.
That's what she said.
Yeah, it's 8 seconds. 8 seconds. And it's the second most watched one. So people need to get rid of the stigma and the scare of content.
You know, this weekend we were in Fort Myers Beach, down at the Fort Myers yacht basin, where most of the destruction that occurred in, a lot of the destruction that occurred in Fort Myers. And Matt Mulholland and myself were there, and there was a gentleman by the name of Bill. Bill lives about 2 blocks away. Anyways, same thing. Bill said something out loud, and I said, wait a second, would you be willing to say that on camera? And Matt and I thought about it at the same time. And now Matt has a video of 230,000 views from this guy. It's his best views ever, and it's just because he captured something that somebody said, just like that. Sincere.
When I watch that video, the thing I see is emotion, and I hear some sincerity when I watch that, because I know exactly what video you're talking about, right? Yeah. That was very sincere. It was authentic. There's emotion there, and people can relate to that. And there's hundreds of thousands of people that are watching that externally that aren't in the state that are like, God, this is the emotion people feel right now. And there's people in the state that are like, yeah, we share this experience with you too. There's a lot of relatability to that brief video, and that's great for Matt. I mean, Matt's a dear friend of mine. Good for him for having that content out there, and it getting a lot of traction. So, by the way, I'm excited for the marketing panel that you're doing at RoofCon. By the way.
Hey, no, you know what? I'm excited for that too, because last year, where I met John for the first time?
Nowhere.
I was on stage with John at Door to Door Con last year with him and Deshaun Bryant and Adam Bensman. All of those guys, stand-up guys. But no, to go back to the RoofCon thing, yes, I'm excited to be there, to be the moderator of that panel. I think that a lot has changed in the past year in regards to how we do things in business, in regards to social media and SEO.
Can I time out and talk D2D-Con here real quick, because I think you left a lot hidden in that comment as far as meeting me at D2D-Con. Yeah. So D2D-Con was approaching, and we were all 4 of us going to sit on the same panel, and that was a great panel. I mean, anybody that can watch that full thing, that was a really, really fun panel. Everybody had a raw moment in there that was really great. Elizabeth asked a really good question in there and everything. But I'm going to go back to what you said about when you go to conferences and networking. Prior to showing up for that conference, TJ got on Facebook, sent me a Facebook message, didn't have my cell phone number. Dude, I'm really looking forward to sitting on the panel with you and connecting with you and spending some time to talk to you. I couldn't remember exactly what he said, but it's the first message I got from TJ was something to that effect. And where he's out there just saying, I want to connect with you here, right? So that was cool. He made an intentional effort, knowing, hey, I'm going to sit on the panel with this guy. I want to network with this guy. I want to talk to this person. He made an intentional effort. You want to talk about being intentional with your marketing, with your networking, with your education, with what you're going to get out of something. Dude showed up, pre-planned, messaged me, looking forward to it. He reached out, right? Because what if I didn't know him? What if I felt uncomfortable talking to him? No, he reached out. So go to these events with that type of mindset. Like be intentional about what you're going to do, because I will not forget that. You made the effort to talk to me. And I can remember You had a baby on the way and everything. And I sat down when you got there and I was like, how's everything back at home? Is she okay? Is everything good? You know, there was a few concerns at that time, but we were able to connect immediately and connect on a very personal level right away because you were intentional about that networking moment.
You know,
Good point, John.
In this industry, we sometimes come with a big ego because a lot of us are alphas, and we don't tend to lean in because we see everybody as competition, and instead of what can we do to learn something from one another. And going back to that, you know, I preach it all the time. You have to reach out to people that you want to know, and you have to let them know that you want to know them, because in social media the world flies fast, and it doesn't move like it does down here at ground level, right? So you have to take a little bit of time out of your day and show people that you care about them.
Absolutely, man. That goes a long ways with anybody. Just like we were talking about today, just trying to remember somebody's name.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And how I've actually had to practice, like after I've introduced myself to somebody for the first time, I say their name 3 times in my head. So then if I do run into them again, I remember their name, because it seems like the older I get, the more I forget shit like that. But I told you the story how we got a referral from somebody because basically I just remembered his name when I ran into him a month later. It was a realtor. And, you know, just like you said, being intentional, you know, and not, you know, looking further than your nose, right? I think sometimes we all get so caught up in ourselves and don't take 5 minutes to just shoot somebody a quick message like, hey man, looking forward to seeing you. It kind of gives you those warm fuzzies like, yo man, this dude reached out to me. I don't know him very well, but he appears to be very excited to hang out with me for an hour or two at this conference. Right. I mean, and that like, and at that moment, maybe John was feeling a moment of weakness or a little bit of anxiety of, man, I got to speak on this panel. Oh my God. But like maybe helped him overcome that. Like we never know where anybody is on that particular day. Right. And you hear and talk about it. We talk about it a lot. I know Chris and I do is empathy. Right. And being intentional with that. And like today, okay, like, and I'm trying to get better at this. I left somebody a voicemail today and I knew that they weren't going to answer the phone. But I wanted to leave them a nice message to just let them know how much I care for them, right? And how special I think they are and how much I appreciate them. And those are those little things. It's not the big gifts. It's not money. It's not, you know, words can do so much, right? Damaging or positively, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think sometimes we forget that. It's just as simple like, thank you, or you're doing a great job, or hey, I can't wait to hang out with you. You know, and that's it's crazy.
You know,
just being a good fucking human being, man. It's plain and simple. Just be a good human being.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of times people don't actually hear how I got my following, but it started, you know, with me doing silly videos, but then also doing these live broadcasts and going back as to what to say. When people on the other end of your phone sometimes don't get an opportunity to talk to other people, or maybe they're having a horrible day, maybe they just had maybe they're having a horrible life, and just having somebody say hello to them or you know, hey, how's it going, or asking them how their day was, it changes somebody's complete mindset as to somebody actually does care about them. And then that's how I grew to almost 300,000 followers now, is because genuinely caring about other people.
So when you're going live and you can see someone engage with your live, like they like it, they comment it, say something like that, there's a certain level where you just can't acknowledge every single person that jumps on that's part of the live. Like I get that, but it does show you can have that effect on a live. Like maybe someone jumps on and you just saw their post 10 minutes ago about how they've had a great month or a great year, and you're like, you know, hey Ian, congratulations to you for an awesome first year of business. It was great to see that post earlier. Right now you're actually saying something on that live, directing a real person. You're making that very again, it's not salesy. It's not trying to solicit something. You now have an even more authentic moment where you're connecting with somebody on a live, even though they're not standing there next to you. You're like, hey John, I got your email earlier. When I get off, I'm going to give you a call. I want to talk about that repair assessment you sent me. Right. Like acknowledging those things just makes that live moment more humanized. It makes it more comfortable to you. So, and I'll give you a really good example. Like the people that are solid with this stuff, find levels to connect with people on any little detail. And for those of you in sales, you're probably doing this anyway, but you can do this in almost any aspect. When Jen had her event in Dallas in February, so it was technically this year, but it was in February. And Chris was going to speak, right? I got a message from Chris, just making sure that they got all the stuff they needed or slides or whatever it was. And we weren't even Facebook friends yet. But I got a message from him and he goes, glad to see another Hoosier or glad to see a Hoosier because he's from Indiana too. I thought this dude took the time to pay attention to where I was from and connect with me on a small level in that message. You can do that in your lives, like connect with somebody, right? Compliment somebody, encourage somebody. Maybe you talked to them, or maybe you saw a post where their child was sick or they're struggling or something like that. And you connect with them there. Like, hey man, hope everything's on the up and up, right? Do that in your lives too, because it does make it more real for anybody that's watching that you're attentive. You're not just on that live just to say things a whole bunch of times. You are paying attention. You are communicating, right? All of those things are really powerful when you are on your lives. And I found those things, especially in my group, because the group that I do the lives in the most, the Name That Roofing group, we're so intimate in how well we know each other, communicate, present problems and stuff like that. So I know a lot about these contractors and their success stories, their failures, their challenges, issues. So it's really fun to see them pop on a live and boom, 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 a thumb goes up or something like that. And you're like, hey man, great. So connect with people in your lives too. It's no different than you saying hi to somebody in a grocery store when you pass them and you know them. And you're like, hey man, hey, how'd the kids play at soccer the other night? Right. Just on the same thing. You're just doing it in a live format.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff tonight, guys.
Yes,
I mean, we
sir. Yes,
really
sir.
went down a path there.
We went down a couple great rabbit holes, man.
Yeah, right.
It's a humility rabbit hole.
Right. No, that's good stuff. Chris, why don't you ask John your ending question?
Yeah. So John, if you've ever seen our show before, man, you probably know what's coming here, but we like to ask every guest this question. We've gotten a wide variety of answers here. So with you being successful in your spot, you found your niche. What motivates you, man? Like what drives you to be successful, to be a better man, and not only just come to work every day, but come to work and perform at a high level for you and your family? What motivates you to do that?
So I'm going to give you a loaded answer here, and I hope that somebody takes some stuff away from this. Okay. I failed to be a good husband in my marriage at some point, and I had to learn some hard lessons there. And I'm fortunate that my wife was willing to work through that and is now my biggest support, my biggest fan. And I learned what dedication to that and what it meant to really share that together and share a life together, and what it was like to have someone that truly loved me and supported me for better or for worse. And that I owe that to her, to the kids, to everybody else through this entire life that I have. I owe that back to them. So my motivation in life is time. It's a currency that we have. It's a savings account that we have no idea what's in that savings account. And so many people freely unload that savings account on a daily basis, thinking that it got an endless balance in it. I live to make memories with my family. That's my success, right? It's fun to have generational wealth. It'd be great to have all those things. And I want to build those legacies. That's fine. But I tell you what, when I go, whether that's in a freaking car crash and they got to rush to the hospital to say bye to me, or it's in my deathbed at 80, 90, whatever it is, the only thing that we better talk about is the memories that we have, right? That's the thing that I live for. Is I want to leverage everything I do in life to have the most amount of time. And if you're not focused on what motivates you, it doesn't matter what it is. For me, it's time to create memories with my families. If you don't have a clear path of what your why is, you will have a lot of misguided space between point A and point B. Point B is the goal you want to accomplish, maybe the annual goal, and you're tracking that, whatever it is. You will have so much misguided space if you do not understand your why. And my why after a big failure in my life is so crystal clear that I am laser focused on how I will always, great, we're going to RoofCon. What did I do? I found ways to have time to go to Disney, and we're going to take the younger kids for this Disney trip and really make it focused on them. And I'm super excited because I can already replay in my mind what it was like to take all 5 kids and my mother-in-law, which is, by the way, an insanity trip as far as being busy, and watching them standing in the back. No, she was very helpful to keep track of them, but standing there pushing a stroller, looking at my wife with the ears on her heads and all the kids with their ears on their heads, just walking into pure joy. I tell you what, no one can ever take that from me. They can take NTS. Someone else can be the shingle god, the shingle guru. Like the next best person could come along, but nobody can fucking take that from me. And I will live to create those things time and time and time and time again. And that's my why, is I will create those memories because no one can take that from me.
Amen.
That's a great fucking answer.
Good stuff.
I respect that answer so much, man. I respect that a lot, because when it's all said and done, man, I mean, those memories that you're going to create, that's all that's going to be stuck in their heads, man. That's all that's going to matter. You know what I mean? The money, NTS, discontinued shingles, like that shit ain't going to fucking matter.
No.
At that
Denzel
point.
Washington once said in an interview, have you ever seen a hearse with a U-Haul behind it? And everybody should wrap their head around that thought process. Mm-hmm. You don't take any of it with you when you go, right? So I'm going to leave a legacy and a memory and a lasting legacy and memory for everybody that's left behind when I'm gone. That is my family, my loved ones. And you know what? I hope I get to touch a lot of friends, peers, and other people in the industry, their lives as well while I'm here. So I live for that. And I have to have time to do that, which means, I'm going to work hard. And that's what motivates me to be successful, so I can spend more time, an hour on a live, right? To just reach out to people, right? So I can, that's why I want to spend my time. If I can leverage myself to have more memories, more servantship, great. That's where my success is focused.
Yeah, I love it. You know, that's one of many reasons why we love to continue to do this show, is because of the conversations that we have and the things that people that hopefully we can draw out of people, like that raw emotion, that real genuine, and like you nailed it. It's about legacy. And John, you've touched my life with your answer to that question, right? Like, and you know, your family, we talked about it earlier, right? Like fuck influencing, fuck infomercials, dude. You were just inspiring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is. This is why Chris and I continue, and Vic continuously do this, is to pull those answers, hopefully we can ask the right questions to like pull that, because we feel that's been our niche. And I got fucking goosebumps right now. Okay.
Yeah. Same, man.
Listening. So if nobody else, I'm that one person that you just inspired right now.
You got 2 here, bro.
Can I tell you one more? Because my dad's in his 70s, and
I'm sorry, we've already went over our hour. I'm just kidding. Right. I'm just
kidding. TJ invites me to Florida to go to the live, and I'm like, damn, this is an awesome opportunity. My dad's been trying to get me to go to this veteran thing because he's a Vietnam vet, served in the Army, and was a scout dog handler, ran point. And he's been trying to get me to go to this event in Northern Indiana for like 4 years now. And there's always been something. There's always been an event, something else going on, a conflict. And I remember telling TJ, I was like, I'm going to do my best to get there, but I got to dip out of there. I got to get back. Yep. And TJ was very understanding of that. I got back. I did my brother-in-law's birthday party. We took him out to dinner, me and my wife, him, his girlfriend, everything. I slept 2 hours. I got in a car the next morning. I drove 2 hours north because my dad told me a week prior to that, he said, you know, one of my dreams, son, is to be able to fly. They have these refurbished Hueys, the helicopters from Vietnam.
Helicopters.
And he said, one of my dreams is to fly in that, because he tells us stories about it all the time, to the point where I could almost hear the sound of the helicopter. To do that with all of my children. He has 5 kids too. That is now my new favorite memory with my dad. I will give up the 2 hours of sleep, the 2 hours of driving, everything. Like, my new favorite memory. If for anybody who saw the picture of the post, the joy on his face of the selfie of us sitting that, I just can't replicate that. And no one can take that from me. And now when I hear him tell stories about it, right, I actually get to replay in my mind the boom, 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 boom of what a real Huey sounds like. And that's what he wanted me to know. That's what he wanted me to feel. That's what he wanted me to hear. But my life is to do those things. And you know what?
Wow.
He may not be able to do that next year. And I'm so thankful that I made it up there this year for it. But that's what I live for. And I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. And I will give a lot of credit to my wife, who's been my biggest support and my biggest fan. She helps out with so much stuff. It's great to have good business partners, employees. All of that is fantastic. But damn, she puts up with a lot. Just the travel and everything. So yeah, I had to add the Huey story because that was so meaningful to me.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. That's good.
A lot of people have been asking me recently just about what he's talking about my family life, about much traveling, and you as well. You've been traveling a lot, and how it's affecting my home life, and us as storm chasers. That's where this started from, right? Being gone from your family it's hard. But thank goodness that we have that support staff at home that allows us to be who we are in this world. And I couldn't do this without Karina. I mean, I've got a sick baby girl at home right now, and here I am all the way across the United States. And then, I've got 4 kids total, and I could not be who I am in this world today and do the things that I do without that. And I know that you and Chris and John all feel the same way about our partners, not our significant others, our partners.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
Absolutely.
Today.
Yeah. I mean, I'm family vacation right now, and I'm not going to get shit from anyone up in that room. The reason that I'm so thankful to be able to do these things, man, and I will not miss an episode, is because of these kinds of conversations, man. Like this is the motivation that I need. You know what I mean? I learn things from these things. And they truly affect me. I get to hear other people's point of views, and just to have that support from your family, to know what drives us and what we're passionate about, and allow us to do those things, man, is really cool. So they're somewhere up there in that hotel waiting for me to come up. So
waiting for Dad, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I actually don't have my kids. With me on this trip. This is
somebody's waiting for Daddy.
Yeah, it's me and Britt and my parents.
Don't go in that room live. Don't go in that room live.
But on a more serious note, John, I'm going to be in your inbox.
Yes, go in that room.
Whatever day I get to the parks, man. You asked me to let you know how it was. I'll shoot you a video and let you know how everything is for the kids and everything.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, guys, I appreciate you having me on. I fly out to Atlanta tomorrow, so I want to go spend a little quality time with my family because I fly out really early. But I'm so thankful that you guys just I'm humbled every time I get to be on these things. I'm just humbled, and I realize, shit, an hour and 15 minutes passed, and all we did was talk. That's it, man. We just shared experiences and stories, and it's just amazing how that time flies. So I'm so humbled, and I'm very thankful for the invitation to be here.
So many people learn something sitting around a campfire, and that's what this is.
Oh yeah,
digital campfire.
Absolutely.
John, we'll definitely have you back on again, and I can't wait to run into you somewhere on the circuit. And tonight was a great
RoofCon,
episode,
baby.
Yep.
Yes, RoofCon. Always a pleasure hanging out with you. I look forward to this weekend. We're gonna have a great time at Inshore Classic this year. Vic, thank you. Vic's down here for the week with us too at the office.
Nice.
John, we'll see you somewhere, and Bake, I'll see you. I don't know when, maybe Monday or in 2 weeks.
No, I'll be back in the office next Wednesday, buddy.
Okay, I won't see you till the following Monday then, because I'm out of Christmas in 2 weeks.
Well, I'll talk to you, man. I'll talk to you.
Right on.
We ain't gonna go that long without talking to each other. So
for sure.
You gentlemen, you guys have a great evening, man. I really appreciated this conversation. This was good stuff. This is why we do this show. All the viewers, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learned something from this, because this is why we do this show. It's not necessarily to talk about roofing, although we do talk about roofing. But we want the nitty gritty, the shit that you know what I mean, the shit behind the scenes that people don't talk about. You know what I mean? So,
hey, John,
it's been great.
John, before you go, tell people how they can get a hold of you if they need to.
Oh yeah, so that's a really that's a good question. All right, if you're not part of the Name That Roofing, Siding, and More group, which was formerly the Name That Shingle group, please join that group. There's so much information for roofers in there. It's not just about naming shingles. We get in a lot of really good discussions and lives. Best way to follow me is John the Roof Pro. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. It's all the same thing. John the Roof Pro. Find me there. You can message me through there. You can reach out to me through there. A good friend of mine in the industry is reworking the website right now because we're doing a DBA to add some more services. So we'll have a big announcement on that and the subscription classes. So for now, while that's down, use the social media platforms, and that's intentional. I want a lot of my feedback, my contact, my communication coming through these platforms because content is going to be king and continue to be king the further and further and further we get into the future. They just changed TikTok's algorithms, text formats, and everything, and you're going to see a lot more of it come up on Google searches. So, like John the
Facebook
Roof
and
Pro
Instagram is matching that. That.
Yeah,
Well, we'll talk about that's a whole
exactly.
nother
Yeah,
subject.
it's all news, but just John the Roof Pro on any social media platform. Find me there, reach out to me, follow me, throw some likes my way. That all means a lot to me.
Amen.
Awesome.
All right. You guys
Appreciate
have a
it,
great
brother.
night, man. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you guys very
for
much.
having me.
Yep. Everyone have a good week.